What's up, guys, and welcome to another very different episode of Balls or Nuts. My name's Hani Mabar, and today, as you saw at the beginning, there were a few montages of me doing some questionable running and cycling, and then the swimming, it was just an AI created video because, well, I didn't want to blind you guys with my insanely sexy body. Anyway, what we're doing this time around, I'll give you a little bit of a background. So when I was a kid, I was about 17 years old. I wanted to do a triathlon, and I wanted to do marathons, and I wanted to play squash at like the highest level. I did do a sprint triathlon that I managed to complete. I think I did an hour and 36 minutes. I can't remember exactly. It was a long time ago. But then, as I got older, life happened. University, work, wife, kids. Fine, I'm still young enough to do a marathon. Trained for it, injured myself, really bad plantar fasciitis 2 weeks out just before the Helsinki Marathon, and then I couldn't participate. The way I trained was pretty stupid. Now I'm almost 50. One of my bucket list goals was to do a full Ironman. I was like, okay, how am I gonna get this started? There's a lot of tools out there. I watched tons of videos. I looked at different ways to get here. Apps, a watch, heart rate monitor. I have everything I need. Financially, we all want to figure out a way to do something as cheap as possible. Free comes along, then everybody wants to do it for free. I'm no different. I want to do it for free. Or at least expending my own energy and sweat as the currency of choice, as well as brain cells, because I'm going to use my head to try and create a thing, and tokens, of course, from AI. And what I've decided to do is I'm going to build my own training app. Just for me, Ironman app, an IronMAPP. Hey, that's what I'll call it. I'll call it IronMAPP. It's just for me. Start with the basics. Make sure it's running. Make sure the heart rate monitor works. Track my pace for running and track my speed and distance for cycling. All of that. From there, we'll see how we can grow it from there. Then I'm going to take this app and compare it to the popular ones like Training Days or TrainingPeaks, Strava or Sports Tracker, or I don't know, Map My Run, whatever it is. I'll figure something out and I'll put them in there, and then we'll compare them together. I don't even know if I'll be able to do the whole thing in one episode. Maybe we'll split it up into two. You get to see how it's done, or my thought process. I guess I need to start planning. We're going to do this the old-fashioned way and start planning first what I want it to do, and then I'll take it from there. This won't be a tutorial. It's just the process. I am going to probably use a little bit of AI to help me with the prompt, because whatever I write is going to be semi-good, and I'll get it to write it better for me, which is pretty much what everybody should be doing anyway these days. See you in a bit. Here's what we came up with. Basically what I went through is planning, put down an idea of what it actually needed to do, what I'm tracking, like running, biking, swimming, and to be able to show the history. I've got coaching as well. The scaffold I decided to use, I didn't decide anything. AI walked me through it and told me what I needed, so I just simply said yes please and ordered two. I was wanting it to be fast, lightweight, and to be able to build it as a PWA, like on the phone. I wanted it to be free. I like to use supabase as a schema. That's my Postgres. It's my everything that runs my database. All information is inputted and saved. My libraries, so we have to have the web Bluetooth. I'm not happy with the web Bluetooth. I've tested it out. It works. It's very spotty. It disconnects, connects, and I'm not happy with it. So I might actually go in and do a shell. So actually try and see if I can use the Bluetooth from the device and connect that to the Polar. But I don't know. That's something I have to research and find out if it can be done, considering how I'm only doing this as a PWA. I'm sure that's going to be a problem. But anyway, let's figure it out. I'll figure it out and I'll film it if possible. The coaching engine, so I kind of gave it a brain. I realized after I tested it out that all it's doing is it's tracking, but I wanted it to go an extra step and tell me what I need to do next, how much I need to rest, relax, eat, the nutrition. The brain is coming from a few studies. And then, of course, just the basic stuff. So like what are my menus? What are the sheets that I can get into? So that's kind of just the standard. So like login, activity, swim entry, history, dashboards, that kind of thing. The app shell, that's what's going to wire it all together so that when you tap on anything, it takes you to the right screen. It's only mine, so no one else can log into this. It's just for me. Then to ship it, I checked it. Everything works. It needs to check that it works as well, and it has to push the code to somewhere safe. And then for me, Vercel is where I like to use, is what I've been using. Setting features, yeah. So I have my weight. I want to see a trend chart there. It's not necessary. I don't even need to see it, but I just thought it's a nice little feature to have for myself. And then this was new. This was all the new AI coaching feature. So there's actually a sports science math running. It's free. Tracks my fitness and my fatigue over time. And then if I ask for it, it can actually call up my Anthropic API and goes to an agent of mine. And then of course, finally the routes and maps. That wasn't necessary, but I wanted it just for me, for fun, to see if I can do it. Really, that's it. That's the whole thing. It's what is that? 12 stages. Alrighty. So first thing we're doing is I'm in terminal, open terminal, and we're going to do the old school make directory, so mkdir, and like I said, we're going to name this thing IronMAPP. So in case you're wondering why I'm narrating over this, it's because I had major issues with the microphone that attached there to my t-shirt. But anyway, the beauty of technology. All right, then I'm going to open Claude Code, Anthropic's command line coding agent right there in the terminal. And with the editing magic software, here we go. We kind of skipped over and I typed this entire prompt right there. You can go through it if you want, or you can just pause this video, maybe read it out loud. But what's interesting here is I have an instruction on my PC to Claude to never just accept anything I give it, and that it needs to always question and re-question me and find every single reason why something won't work before it starts working on it. And sometimes even if it doesn't work, it tells me, do you still want to do this? So that's why it's hitting back here. So it tells me that I've got no back-end constraint, and it explains what needs to be done and why. It explains that the long sessions will lose tracking, and which we then fix that. And then the Vite over Next.js is the right call here. So sometimes it tells me that, you know, if something is the correct decision or not. Now Claude's going to ask me, how should the rule-based AI coaching feedback be generated? So should it be fixed, or should it actually, through an API, get me information? In the beginning, I decided that it will be fixed, but then later on, you'll see I'm going to adjust that and actually have it call up an API straight to Anthropic. We're back. I was gone for 2 days ago. The last thing it said is I need to run a supabase schema. Claude will create tables inside of supabase. That's your Postgres or your backend. The other one is, okay, then I have to copy the environmental variables and put them into Vercel and Supabase. Vercel is going to use to deploy the software or this program that we're building. What I have to do is I'm going to create a Supabase account specifically for this. It's going to be my personal one. Yeah, and we'll go from there. At this point, I started to building and prompting and getting Supabase and Vercel set up and my environmental variables, and you know, if you know, you know. And we're just gonna speed 20 times just till we get there. And if we check it out, that's our first indication that this thing is now working. So Vercel is deployed nicely, obviously through GitHub and then through Vercel, and then we'll start to see little bits and bobs of how this thing is working. And here's me telling you what's out. It doesn't tell me how I can sign up. So, but since this is just for me, it's going to have to be just my own sign-in or information, and I don't know what that is, so I'm going to ask it now. Right, so we've just done a thing. I have it all here. Here's the dashboard. It gives me no sessions, nothing. I think the next step now is, well, to get this to work on my phone, and then the heart rate monitor yet. All right. Toggle auto. So here it's finally working. Here's my phone. There's IronMAPP. I already went for a very short little walk just to test it out. And you can see there's the run. There's the bike. Looks the same. And then there's the swim, which will be manual. And then that's like the first thing that I did. Okay guys, it worked. I took it out. I did a little walk around. I did a little run. I tested the heart rate monitor, and holy moly. But while I realize now I've gotten the basics, there's a couple more things I want to add. One, I don't know if it's needed, to be honest, but like maybe a map. I'm still thinking about that. I might add it, but we'll see. And then the other is I would like to get actual coaching. So, I mean, it's one thing for me to maybe read something and think, okay, I need to do a long run this week, and then a long bike ride, and then a short swim, or then, you know, change it up and do a let's say a high intensity run and a high intensity bike ride and then a high intensity swim. Like there's various ways to prepare. And since I'm taking a whole year, I probably don't need to be as intense, but I realized it would be nice to actually have an AI or a coach included in this app. And so that's what we're going to build now. Here's what it looks like right now. It's almost done, so it's done something. And then of course I'll show you what it looks like on the app. And again, I'm just wondering if I should add that map or not. I think let's do it. Why not? I don't know if it's going to take up much. Okay, and now we're going to quickly test it. There's the map. I did it. Now we're going to quickly test out the heart rate monitor for Bluetooth. There's my Polar heart rate monitor. Click on that. Wait for it. There we go. It connected. And yeah, now we're ready to give it its first maiden voyage. So pretty. So I've run 1.89 kilometers at this point. Now I'll show you the issue we ran into when it came to tracking with my app. I have to keep the screen awake on the app for it to find where I am and to measure. So I'll have to prompt even when the device goes to lock the keys, satellites or whatever. But here's a quick screen grab of how it's working. So here now you can see it is measuring the pace and everything, and then I actually put it to sleep or locked the keys, and then I came back in and it shows I barely moved. I locked the keys for about 2 minutes. Okay, so it looks like we are able to get this up and running. We've done a native wrapper, wrapped it as an Android app via capacitor, and the web PWA will continue to work anyway if we want it to work that way. GPS, HR, wake clock, they all branch on as is native, so that means it'll keep working the web Bluetooth, watch position, and screen wake clock. Web build, anyway, the rest is fine. So we're going to run this and see if it works, and I'll do some runs and exercises and stuff. Here we are. We have the app now running, and this is a native app to the device. She's looking great, easy to use. I can even get the map going. Actually, let's look at the history. So these are the runs I did that day. That didn't log entirely. So what you're seeing here, 1.14, that's about right. Looking at Strava, almost the same. The only difference is I stopped my device, IronMAPP. The only difference is I stopped IronMAPP, my app basically, and I continued with Polar and Strava for a bit. But if we look in here, so this is 2.71. Yeah, so pace dropped off because I was recording the other video, and I kind of walked it. And then moving time, 1937. Anyway, 2.7. I think the other one we stopped at 2.3. Was it? Can't remember. And pace was 6 minutes something. But it's very close. So now the heart rate is wrong because Polar will only connect to one device, and in this case, it was connected to the IronMAPP app. I'm satisfied with it. I think it does what it's supposed to do. We're in the last stretch. It works like a regular app, so it's been installed natively on my device. So it's no longer a PWA, although I still have that option. The information is accurate. It's as you've seen, or as you will see with Strava and everything, the heart rate monitor, everything is exactly aligned. So what have we done now? We have GPS tracking, we have the heart rate monitor, we have maps, we have pace, we are able to select which exercise we're doing, and we've created an AI smart coach that'll help me decide what I need to do next. Now, the only problem that was left with the AI coach is that every single time I went in there to use it, it would ask me again, what's the race distance? It would ask me, what date is the race expected? And then it was kind of like a loop. So it was resetting every single time I went in there. So what I've done now is I've just adjusted it, as you will see here. We've now made it so that it creates a race goal once. I can just select it. It's like a header that this is the race I'm going into. And then it gives me the whatever, and as an example, 34 weeks out. And then a nudge will appear, like if I haven't logged in a while, it'll actually give me a notification like, hey, you haven't logged in, come in and update whatever you've done. So let's say, as an example, I didn't actually click on the AI, but I have logged 3, 4, 5 different exercises towards the goal of the Ironman. Then once I click on the AI again, it just quickly goes through what was there, what was logged, and then it refreshes and updates based on the latest information and adjusts goals for the future. And then, okay, and then things I need to do. So I need to go in and update the supabase schema and send that through. And then it's going to rebuild the APK to get this on the phone and connect to Vercel. Right. So I think we're pretty much done. Now, once I do this, I'll quickly run you through one last time how the app works, what it looks like. I've even got a cool little icon on the phone. And then we'll do a quick comparison with Strava and other apps. See you in a bit. Right, so here we are now. We are going to go into IronMAPP. There it is. Cool little logo icon. It's basically the Ironman icon, but with an H because it's Hanny, me. And we're going to look at the AI feature. So we're going to click AI. It'll ask for, what day am I going to complete the race? So let's just pretend it's going to be next year, 1st of July, 2027. There we go. And I'm just going to run it. Now what it's going to do is going to go through some predetermined logic and thought processes. I didn't film any of this. It was a long prompt and conversation. And so now it's going to sit there and think for a bit, but you don't need to watch it. It took about 1.5 minutes in the end, but what I'll do is I'll stop here and then edit the video quickly for y'all. Okay, now you're seeing it is just giving me a chat. It's talking to me, asking me to answer a few more questions. So this basically became me talking to Claude through the AI, or through the app rather. And I actually went back in and I adjusted this so that we don't need to have a conversation. And what it will do instead is it will give me the program that I need to follow until the end of the year. And also it gives me the option that if I want to have a conversation, that we can start a conversation. But other than that, it's fixed, it's done, and it's flipping awesome. Okay, we finally reached the end, guys. So we'll do a final scorecard verdict. So check it out and I'll talk you through it in a second. Right, so we are comparing Polar Flow, Strava and TrainingPeaks, and here's what we have. So Strava is typically it's just like a social network pretending to be a training app. I shouldn't say that, it's a bit harsh. It is a training app. It's fantastic. It's got segments, but then you get all kudos and clubs and heat maps. It's really good at that, but maybe training science is a bit thin. Even when you pay for it, I think it's great, but not as good as some other apps that I've used in the past, like Sports Tracker. I think they're even better. But anyway, IronMAPP has zero social, and it never will. That's not the point, because it's just meant for me, and it's my own AI coach. So from that perspective, out of the box versus Strava, I think it's better from the AI coaching perspective. However, if you want to train to get faster and compare yourself to your friends and things, it definitely doesn't hold a light at all next to Strava, especially if you want to get seen. The other one is Polar Flow. I already own the Polar H10 and I use Polar Flow. It's free. I think it's really good because it can give me HRV, sleep, recovery scores, training load, all the automatic, everything's automatic and validated. And IronMAPP doesn't do any of that. It just collects heart rate data and GPS. That's it. So I don't get to see recovery, sleep, power, whereas Polar knows my body. Maybe there's some way I can port the AI to go into my Polar Flow and then input the information, or output the information rather, into IronMAPP. Then that would be great. But I think that's going to require a lot more prompting and APIs and things, which I'm pretty sure Polar Flow won't allow. And then finally, TrainingPeaks. So this is pretty much the gold standard. This is for anyone who's really seriously trying to become a triathlete. It does have real periodization, real performance management charts. It gives you structured workouts that you can tick off. My app is aiming at this type of thing, but it's homemade and it uses textbook math and no strict workout tracking. It's clever. I tried to make it an approximation of TrainingPeaks, and not a rival. And really, but I think TrainingPeaks wins with the science and everything else. But it's also expensive. It's kind of why I decided to make my own thing if I want to take it seriously. Right. So the honest truth, I think IronMAPP will get destroyed pretty much by data depth, recovery matrix, and reliability as well. But what's nice is I can fix it anytime I want. So from that perspective, it's great. But if anything goes wrong with Polar or Strava and these guys, I have to write someone. But in this case, I could do it myself. And the other is I really like the AI coach feature that gives me all the information I need. So where I think IronMAPP wins, in my opinion, is the AI coaching. So the porting into Claude Code and my own personal touch to it. It cost me nothing. It's my data, so I don't have to worry about it getting impacted by, I don't know, data that isn't mine, or trying to sell me something, doesn't have any ads or anything like that. I'm not locked in. It's just built for me. It's one athlete. It's where it sucks though is, like I said, it's just like heart rate metrics versus their other data that I can get, or that you can actually input in the other apps, like physiology, recovery data, that kind of thing. But who knows, maybe down the road I might connect it to that and see how I can make that work. So is it balls or nuts? Look, like I said, compared to the more established, it's definitely balls. But I think, considering that it took me a lot longer than I expected to make this one work. But there's another example of when someone says to you, "Oh, this thing can be done in like a weekend." That's bullshit. It's not going to be done in a weekend if you want it to work nicely and to provide you what you need it to do. So it's nuts from the perspective of, I built this for me, and I have zero experience in building apps, and you can do it as well. Okay, peace everyone. I hope you enjoyed this one and learned something. If not, I hope it was entertaining. Okay, cheers.